Building my soundproof studio was a massive project to figure out. Eventually, soundproofing was also only one part of it. What took me years to research, verify and build, you can now go through and learn in one weekend. What's up guys, I'm Jarkko, Finnish drummer, and I built myself this soundproof studio here to this detached garage here in Finland. I've been able to enjoy it for a while now. We just went through this winter, which was pretty rough winter at times. Things such as the condensation and things like this were in control in these extreme weathers, which I'm super happy about, and I of course prepared for those in the build. But anyhow, to the actual meat and potatoes of this episode is that what I've done now is I took this whole build which I did for this and I put it all together into this one comprehensive online course. And the idea of it is that instead of spending months or years trying to figure this all out through various online build videos or online forums, trying to piece it all together through different bits and pieces here and there, you can now learn a one comprehensive build from very beginning to the very end. So this course is a complete reference build of this actual studio which I built here in its entirety. So if you're thinking about how to get started with this and you're thinking about that, am I building it actually the right way? After watching this course, you will be much wiser with that. And if you're curious to know that how well does this soundproof build which I did here actually perform, I've also released a full sound isolation test done with a SPL volume meter, where this build is tested with extreme metal drumming to give you like an extreme example of how much volume this build is able to contain. So you don't need to take it just from me that this sound isolation actually works. When I was preparing for this my build, I consumed as well all of the available online build videos and read all the forums. But then I also took several professional consultations regarding how to build something like this, to then also verify these build decisions which I was making, which was important, as I wanted to also have some actual professionals evaluate my build approach. So all these learnings and discoveries which I did during the build, including the professional consultation results and discoveries, I've included them all into the course. So, in a nutshell, I built the course to be the kind of resource which I wish I had when I started my own build and when I was preparing for it. But it wasn't existing, so once I set on this path, I figured it out that I'm going to be making this course which will include all of these. So then there would be a resource when you are planning to do your own soundproof studio like I would. And that's why I decided to include everything here, because you need to understand the entire project, not just the soundproofing side. Take all of these things into account so you don't make crucial mistakes which are really tough to fix later. And some of these are aspects which you likely are not able to even look for until you do a build like this. And as the course progresses, you will be seeing all of these different kinds of things which you will be facing. And the course will help you out with that tremendously, because it's this kind of like 360-degree view to this entire project, what's needed and what you will be facing when you're building your own. If you even avoid one mistake through it, it will pay itself back already many times easily. So I'm listing here some of the aspects which are part of the course. So there's the room within a room build, explained and shown in detail by every decision from very beginning to the very end. All the structural decisions I needed to do while building this, and these decisions were done based on the consultations I had with the construction engineer who was a part of the project. So you will be seeing all those solutions and explained why they were done. If I had not made those decisions and I had kind of like just winged those things on my own, I wouldn't have been able to complete the project successfully without making some crucial mistakes which have been kind of impossible even to fix later when everything was built. It's covering the whole HVAC thing, including the air ventilation, how it was soundproof and how it was routed and why, the heating and cooling through mini split, and also the bathroom side about how the plumbing was routed, and then the sink and the water tap, how those solutions were done and what was needed to do it by the code. It's covering the doors, the soundproof windows which I have here. I wanted to have windows, I wanted to have natural light here, so it's also covering that, how to do that with this room within a room structure, and how to deal with condensation. In the end, it's also including the whole studio setup which I did, including the DIY acoustic panels and all the treatments which I did here, which you can see around here. Knowing all the crucial aspects and the relevant aspects of a build like this, knowing them before you build and during the building, you're able to take them into account, because later fixing them will be very expensive. And in addition that they are really stressful and expensive things to fix later, they might also prolong your project, and time is money. You don't want to waste time in a build like this because it also costs you more money. And I can say one thing also about my build is that because I built it for myself, I think I did it with extra care, as you will do always things with extra care when you're building for yourself. So the course is about my own property. So I put really extra care on it because there was no room to fail. I could not fail it. I was just barely able to make it budget-wise. And in a project like this, it's crucial that you don't make big mistakes. Alongside the project, I had different professionals working with me in this project team, and I also did these outside consultations as well, outside of that, with various professionals like studio builders and also some companies who are working with studio builders. Their insights and experience on certain products, about their longevity and things like this, because you want to choose products which last long. Based on this insight I got from these studio builders, it does make a difference that what kind of sealants you choose. So I was also able to choose some of the products which were more long-lasting and also, in the end, cheaper. Those are, of course, also listed in the course. The products and also the tools which I used. As well as the permit process is covered there. From my experience, you need to do that if you want to sell the property later, which I will likely want as well at some point. You will need a permit for that if you want to get it sold. Getting it later after the build is more difficult, and of course you need to do it by the code so that it's possible to even get the permit. Of course it's up to you how you do it, but if I would be building this, and as I was building this, I want to do it so that I'm able to sell it later. And then once I do it right, I'm able to then also likely recoup the investment which I did in increased property value, because now it's an improved building. But one of the problems, if you watch the free build videos or even my build videos which I put out, one of the problems is that you might sometimes get some misunderstandings and make wrong assumptions based on something you see there. For example, I've seen some comments to my build videos where some people have been making certain assumptions about, for example, my ceiling and its decoupling. They were asking that, is it actually decoupled? And of course, the answer is that yes, it's decoupled. And I think that's one of the biggest challenges of these YouTube videos, that you might think you know something and make certain assumptions, and then in the end, it wasn't the actual whole story and also the reason why it was done. And that's what I try to focus also on the course, that everything I do there, I explain the reasoning behind it, why it was chosen to be done that certain way. So you know the reasoning then also behind these decisions. Regarding the ceiling decoupling solution for my build was that I used this one-legged resilient channel, which is decoupling the ceiling from the walls, which is one of the decoupling methods available to make a decoupled ceiling. And one of the reasons why I chose this one-legged resilient channel method is that I wanted to retain as much as possible the ceiling height of this room and this garage which I was working with. Whereas then the other options would have lowered the ceiling 2 to 10 centimeters more, depending which other solution you do. In the end, all these decisions then add up and kind of define how big the space will eventually be. And in a bit similarly, there's a ton of other similar detailed decisions you need to do and make when you're building this. Things you need to take into account, why certain things are done the certain way. And at the course, as it proceeds, I'm explaining all of these decisions, why I did certain things, all the reasonings behind them during this entire project. And also giving you some options of alternative approaches if you want to do something differently. So you are then able to take all these things into consideration when you're building yours. And that's why I also created this course, to have this in-depth resource where I'm able to explain all of these things to the detail that's required in order for you to understand them, how I needed to also understand them when I was building them. And again, throughout the whole project and not just some one segment part of it. So anyhow, my course's winter enrollment is ending by the end of this month. Get on board if you're planning to build your own soundproof studio. Then it goes on a break, the course enrollment for a while. I'm able to then help some of the students of mine there better, and also I'm able to update a couple of modules better there, which I'm planning to do based on some of the post-build insights which I figured. The course is evolving over time, and of course, for example, these module updates which are coming during the enrollment break, everybody on the course will be getting them right away and first, because all the module updates are included in the one-time fee for this lifetime access of the course. So get on board earlier, you will be getting all the benefits of it. And through that you are able to plan your whole upcoming project better, and through that save money. So check out the course, watch it over a weekend, and you'll know how to build a Soundproof studio like this, how I built mine. And you're able to take those learnings into account when you're building yours. So better get it now than wait and postpone later, I think. Good luck with your studio builds if you are planning of it. I hope this was helpful. Life is short, time is money. Enjoy it, make the most of it. That was for this. See you guys in the next videos. Bye.